Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting. And for those of you who painted for a while, I'm hopefully giving you projects that you can work on too. And today we're going to start with our bunny plate. This is the plate. This is the final fire of how it's going to turn out. I wanted it to be very soft. To me, the softness is sort of goes hand in hand with spring. Now this plate that I'm using is a 9.5-inch plate. This is the line drawing. And of course, for those of you that are new here, I use Sorel transfer paper, two sides, light side and a dark side. The dark side goes on the plate, then you put the tissue paper over it, and then you trace. And I go over it with a red pen for you, but don't do that at home if you don't need to. If you can see what you did, that's fine. You don't need to do more than that. Okay, so I've traced on my bunnies, and that will allow me to learn a new technique. And the technique that we're going to do is one that I love. It's a real soft, kind of almost a cuddly look to these bunnies. And I'm going to show you how to do that. The key to it, of course, is the fur brush. It's called Texture It. It's a Scharf brush, Scharff brush, and it's called Texture It. They're from France. Now, if you've been painting a while, you know that French and German brushes are probably some of the nicest ones to paint with. This one, see how it is? It's short and it's rough on top. And so I use this almost exclusively on this piece. And it gave me that soft texture. I was amazed. But the other thing that helped me a lot was the type of china I'm painting on. So in this case, it's Bavarian china. And I think that's really important, the type of china, if you can get your hands on it. Now, I know it's been difficult to get your hands on really fine china, but the German and the French chinas are fantastic to paint on. And I had forgotten, I had been using, tiles and things like that. And I had forgotten how nice this was to paint on. When I started painting, the paint just flowed. So if you can get a nice piece of china, French Limoges, Bavarian, or any of those, you will find that your paint just flows off the end of your brush. The other thing is fresh paint. Don't let your paint sit on your palette forever. If your paint is gummy or a little bit gooey, then what you need to do is flip it and add a little more mineral oil to it. If that doesn't work, or if it's still a little gooey, or when you use your brush, it kind of drags, mix it again, get some fresh paint out. Starting with fresh paint makes a big difference in your ability to paint well. This was the final outcome of this little project. And it's absolutely cuddly, kind of the kids' Easter book look is what I was going for. Okay, and that's because of the Texture It brush. Now, if you don't have one, let's see. I might suggest that you use maybe a thicker brush that you have. Like this number 4 that I have here, or 6 rather, is a brush that's kind of thick. See how it's kind of thick? Compared to this brush. This brush is very thin. This is a Scharf. This one's an old Rins or Ryans, however you pronounce it, brush. And I would use it, I would dip it in the paint, and I would use the side of it. So here's the front of it. I would turn it and put the paint on this side and use the side of it. And you'll see as we paint why I say that. You want to get a texture to it. Okay. I'm going to go through the colors with you right now. Now remember, you don't have to have the same colors I do. There's nothing that says that you have to have the same colors I do. So I have Pompadour. I use Pompadour as a pink. So let me show you on here, on this plate. This is my Pompadour, okay? I like Pompadour for pink. It holds up. It doesn't fire out. To me, pinks are just kind of worthless. It seems like they're always firing out or firing too light. Egg is my yellow. Gray-green. Now, I know you may not have gray-green, and that's fine. Just get a green if you have one that's got, looks a little grayed. It doesn't, see how it looks? Okay. And then next to that, I have gray for flowers. Now, gray for flowers to me, and this one down here, warm brown gray, it's just a little, it's warm brown gray, only darker. So if you don't have gray for flowers, that's fine. You can use warm brown gray. That's fine too. You just have to put an extra coat on. Here's shading green, black. You're going to need black for the eyes. I have gilliflower brown. Now, I have a lot of this. That's why I'm using it. You don't have to use gilliflower. You can use rich. Rich brown is basically the same color. Nut brown. I just want something that has, it's a little richer than like a, and I don't want any red. I don't want it to look yellowish like yellow brown too, but you could use yellow brown too. You could use a hair brown. People like hair brown. I don't like hair brown. To me, hair brown is flat. And this has a little bit of color in it, so I like this. I'm going to be using a royal purple and a cool shadow. These are on the little flowers down at the bottom. The Southwest orange is going to be for the flower pot. I have a moss green because I always try to have a light green just in case I need it. We talked about warm brown gray, and then I have a dove gray. Dove gray, if you can see it there, it has a blue in it. So if you have blue-black, you might get away with that on a light version of it. But that's dove gray. And then I also have Copenhagen gray. If you don't have Copenhagen gray, any light gray will do. The reason I'm using these colors, first of all, I want a grayed effect overall, because I think when you do things with a grayed effect, it makes it a little more soft. And if you can see on this bunny, he's really white, but I put in warm brown gray. Over on this side, he has a lot of dove gray and Copenhagen gray. And you have to have a darker color to make the white pop. And so those are the colors that I'm using. Okay, and the brushes that I'm using, of course, my Texture It brush, which I really love. And then I have two sizes. I'll probably only use the smaller one of these, but the 1/4 inch and the 3/4 inch Scharf brushes, because I like those. I have a liner, scroller for the whiskers. And I have a liner. And I like this. This is actually a round Princeton brush that I got at Dick Blick. They're a little more expensive. I think they're sable. But the nice thing is, or a fake sable, I don't know which. The nice thing is it holds its point. And if I'm doing violets or if I'm doing forget-me-nots, I like something that's going to hold its point. Plus, it's good for leaves and stems. And you may need a wipeout tool. And I like this one because it's got the double end, double sides to it. And I got that as a freebie, so I don't really know where I got it. If you want to know where I got it, I can't tell you. Okay, so I'm going to start. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing on my palette so that you know how I'm loading my brush. For the, I'm going to start with the little brown bunny. And for that, I'm going to be using this nut brown here. And I'm side loading it like this. Okay? And then I'm going to use that corner to paint with. So I'm getting back on my brush like this. And I'm just going to start touching the plate, pulling it around and touching the plate. Now, like I said, if you have the right plate, this stuff works great. As I go, I'm kind of flattening it out a little, but I want that fluffiness to it. You see how I have that fluffiness to it? I love that. And I'm going to flip it upside down. Am I still in? Yes, I am. So I'm going to do it up in here. Now, see this line here? I don't want that. So I'm going to kind of pull it out, keep playing with it. Go along this side here. And then I'm going to feather a little bit because it's a little dark for me, a little red. I don't want it quite that red. There we go. And I want to leave the bunny with a little bit of highlight on him. And I'm going to add a little, that nut brown is a little orangey for me, so I'm going to add a little jelly brown to it. And again, I'm just tapping and pulling, almost like little C strokes. Because I think that that will give me more of what I want here. And over here, I'm going to do it too. Now I know this bunny here is white, and I want him to be white. But by doing the darker color behind the fur, it will help me pull it out. Okay. I'm into just using the jelly brown or your rich brown now. Where the way you put it on is you want to make sure that it's where the shadow is. So there'll be a shadow here and here. There'll be a shadow here because that's the top of his leg there. I put an extra petal in front of that leg because I just think they look a little awkward to me. And then I'm just going to finish it up. Now this is the first coat, so you don't have to be perfect. But you do want to get a little bit of the color in there. I want to get rid of this orange. I don't really care for the orange up there. Okay. Alrighty, now I'm going to go up to his head. And the same principles apply. You're just tapping. Just tapping. Nice thing about this brush is it helps you to smooth things out without really having to smooth things out. So now over here, we're going to add a little color. There we go. You can wipe off your brush and then come back and get a little of that color out if you think it's too dark. There we go. And then you're going to come down his nose. Just shade down his nose like this. And give his cheeks a little more color. Almost up to the eye. I'm going to bring it down across the front and down the nose. Now this is the first fire, so if I don't like it, on the second fire I can add more grays and other colors, but right now I'm going to stick with what I've got, and I'm going to use mainly the brown and just come down here and do the ear. Now the outside of the ear, you come down and then you just like this with this brush. Keep it flat, keep it real flat and just pull it down, and that works really well. Okay. And I'm gonna pull a little more color up this way, a little more color up this way. This is first fire, so we are not too concerned about the depth. We can get the depth on the second fire. Okay, I'm cleaning my brush because I want to do the ears, and I'm going to do them with Pompadour because I said Pompadour is my version of pink. Now with the Pompadour, in order to get that version of pink, you really have to just barely touch the edge. You can test it on your tile if you need to. You're going to pull it down. I need a little more. You're going to pull it down to the base here. I still need a little more. Okay, that's better. Pull it down to the base here. I'm going to do this little guy while I've got the pink on my brush. Okay. You put it at the base, turn them upside down, and put it at the top a little bit. You want to leave as many highlights as you can, and this brush makes it very easy. Now I'm going to take my my Q-tip, and I'm just going to make his fur a little fluffy. Wipe my Q-tip off because you want it to be white, you don't want it to be brown. I do have that red ink to contend with on here, but okay, that's pretty good. And then I'm going to take a little, clean my brush again, I'm going to put a little gray on it, and I'm just going to do under his chin in gray. It's white fur, and the complement would be gray. In this case, it's a Copenhagen gray. And I'm just doing a little bit under his chin, just a little bit. There. Okay. Oh, I need to do his nose. I forgot his nose. His nose is right there. So I'm going to take a little bit of the pomp. And again, I'm applying it with my Texturate brush. Look at how cute that is. That just gives you enough. And you don't have to fuss. I think a lot of times we fuss, and there's no reason to do that. There we go. And then for him, I still have the eyes to do, but let's go over and do the other bunny. Okay, now the other bunny I'm going to do predominantly with warm brown gray and like a dove gray. So he's laying, so this is his head, and this is the back of him up there. So I'm going to start, and of course, I'm going to put the warm brown gray up here, and I'm going to put it over here. And again, I'm just tapping it. Isn't that fabulous? And the same thing here. I'm just tapping it there. Let me get a little more warm brown gray on here. I can't tell because that red comes in there, but there. Okay. And I'm going to pull a little up here. Because when I fire this, the red lines are going to go away. I want to make sure I have other color there. On this side, I'm going to put the gray on the edge like this. So it'll be under him. And I'm going to start mixing in a little dove gray because I like that bluish color. See that? See how that's a bluish color there? I like that. Now I'm going to put it on, but then I'm going to wipe it off. That this will help. Now I'm up. Oh, now I'm to the dove gray up here. Oh. When you put it on too dark, you have a problem. So there. And all I'm doing is dabbing it and pulling it towards where I want the shadow to be. So if I want the shadow to be close to his little chin, then that's what I'm doing. Now, how do I get it on the edge? I just take and just kind of lightly do that because I don't want to do too much at this point. And the reason I don't want to do a whole lot at this point is because I'm going to go through now and wipe out a little of the, he's got a little, there. A little bit of that neckerchief thing down there. Okay. The little thing. Okay, now we're going to go back to warm brown gray. I love warm brown gray. One of my favorite colors. And I'm going to start pulling it out. Oh, too dark. I'm going to start pulling it outwards towards the edge. Still too dark. Just keep wiping it until you get it the way you want it. Now there will be a little shadow here because this bunny's so close to him. So don't worry about that. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to put a little color here by his little cheeks and a little color here by his little cheeks. Look at how cute he is. Now on a second coat, I will define the outer rim of his face a little better. Okay, now here, I'm just going to tap along here. Oh, here we go. Because I still want that there. Okay. And I have the pink here. I'm just smoothing it. All right. I'm going to clean my brush. So now let's put a cute little face on him. I'm going to do that with my liner or my scroller in black. Or you could do brown on the first time so that it's not so harsh. And I might just do the brown because I found that the black gets a little too harsh if you put it on twice. So I'm going to go around and do his little eye. Up, up. The key is to have enough oil, but not too much that it runs. It's weird, but it is almond shaped. Okay. And then this little guy here. Oh. I'm going to come down. Just do what you're comfortable doing. If you don't want to do this thing up in here, then don't do it because you can do it on the second coat. Sometimes I make his eye a little too big and then I narrow it down just to see. Okay, now we're going to do his nose. I'm going to get my my pompadour here. I'm just filling it in. Okay, and then I'm going to get black, but I'm just going to do it very, very softly. And I'm going to sort of outline his nose up here. This nose here, come down. And we'll do a little smile there. Don't be afraid to shape things if you need to shape them. Or just leave them off if you're having trouble with them. I mean, there's no crime in that. If you can't get it on the first fire, you can always get it on the second. It's a little thick. I don't want it that thick. Let me thin it down. I thin down by pushing. That seems to help, okay. And then I'm just going to pat that a little. And we'll put a little more pink on there. There we go. Now, I'm not going to put the whiskers on this time. I'm going to wait and put the whiskers on the next time. Okay. Now, these are like cobblestones. I'm going to dip full brown gray and a side of dove gray, and I'll show you how that turns out. You're just going to come down and go across the bottom like these. In fact, you might just touch it like that and maybe like this. So you just have to decide what you want it to look like. If you have any slate or cobblestones out in the back and you can look at those, that'd be great. You want the depth. And again, I'm using the Texturate brush. I'm not doing anything without the Texturate brush right now. And I want this to be a little more brown. So it's a combination of browns and grays. Okay, I'm going to flip this because I want to do it this way because I want the shadow by that leaf. The secret with doing the slate is just not, and the bricks is just not to fill them in completely. Fill them in a little and then put some color on them here and there. But don't go crazy with the color, okay? Alrighty, now I'm going to clean that off and I'll show you what I'm going to do to separate those bricks. I'm going to use a different brush for that, but before I do that, I'm going to go into my Southwest Brown. I did change the top of this flower pot a little bit, and I'm just going to come down, same brush, Texturate brush, and I'm just going to come across like this. And then I'm going to flip it over and come across the bottom like this. Come up this side. Come up this side. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And I'm going to use a little bit of brown on here. Let's get a little brown. I need a darker brown. There we go. I'm going to put the darker brown under the lip here and at the base. There. The thing I like about this Texturate brush more than anything is that it gives you a watercolor effect, I think. Look at how that looks. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I'm going to take my 1/4 inch Scharf. I'm going to put it in a full load of brown, like this, okay? Full load of brown. And that's the dark brown. And then I'm just going to scoot it along here. Oops, I need a little more. I'm just going to scoot it along here. I don't want it even. I want it uneven, but I want to separate I want to separate these bricks. Add a little more brown maybe up in here. A little brown there, a little brown there. And then over here, I'm going to flip it around because I want to have the shadow on this side. Uneven, that's what you're going for, uneven. Then you're going to take your brush, wipe it off, and you're just going to smooth a little bit like this to the edge. Okay, that's it. I don't want that on there. Okay, I don't want that on there. You can go back and, like I'm doing, and correct it if you find things you don't, like if it comes up too far in the bunny, then fix it. There we go. Okay, that's the wall. I'm going to do my violet leaves. So I'm full loading with moss, side loading with a shading green. I use shading green because to me shading green is kind of a gray green, a blue green, cool colored green, and that's the colors I want to use in here. And I'm just coming down and making it just like I did with the texture it brush. I'm trying to just touch here and there, get the color in where I want it, but then leave it. See that? Okay. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. And I'm going to touch, come down to the center, touch. Oops, that's too dark. Touch, it's still too dark. There we go. Touch, pull it out. Get a little bit of the moss green, come down this side here. Good. Now I've got the moss green and the shading green, and I just want this to be fairly light up here, so I'm only going to put the dark right at that spot. And then I'm going to bring the light down this way more with a side load. I'm just side loading my brush. That's how I do it, okay? There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Now, I want to put in some tulips and some grass. Let me put in my violets around this guy. I'm going to use this brush. This is the, what did I say? It was the round brush from Princeton. And I'm just going to take, let me show you here. I'm just going to take it this way and then kind of side load. Can you see that? Oops. Kind of side load with the purple. I love royal purple. Makes a great violet color. And I'll do one there. They're hiding behind here. So if you're not good with flowers, this is the perfect thing for you because they can be hiding behind and you don't need to have the full color. You just need to, I'm not putting the center in until the second fire. I found that if I do that, here, let's do the apron here. I found that if I do that, it actually comes out a little cleaner. Okay, now I'm going to put that one there. Oh, I need more oil. And this guy here. Oh, come on. And then up here, I'm going to start putting in grass. Now, I'm going to try using the same brush that I'm using right now because it has a nice point on it. But if it doesn't work, and I'm starting with gray-green, if it doesn't work, I'm going to switch over to something else. That's working pretty well. And I'm going to put a little grass across the bottom here. I may have to go to shading green just to make it show up a little. Look at that. Okay. And then a little over on this side. And I'm just doing grass because it's easy. I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to do things that are more difficult. it will serve its purpose and look good for me. There we go. And then over down here, I'm going to do a little grass too, because I think just, I'll show you how I'm going to do the grass underneath them eventually. There we go. Okay. Maybe a little right here. There we go. I'm going to put a couple more violet leaves up in here. I don't always paint in everything or draw in everything I want up in here because this is just sketchy. I don't want it to look like too much. I just want a little color up in here. There we go. And then I'm going to take and put my purple in up there. Okay, now we're going to do the tulips. These tulips are simple. So if you have trouble with tulips, don't worry about them because these are simple. I'm going to take a gray green, put it on my scroller, and then also put a dark green on my scroller, like a shading green, and I'm just going to go up like that, up like that. I want to define where I want the tulips first. Then I'll put the leaves over them and all this silliness will go away. But I think it's nice to have the tulips defined. And if you pull towards yourself, make sure you have enough oil on your brush. Okay, now I'm taking my 1/4 inch brush and I'm going to make my my tulips. It's 3 strokes, basically. It's the outer stroke, like this, the middle stroke, like that, flip it over and do the other stroke. Then I wipe off my brush and I kind of just do a little shaping here. There, okay. And if I want a second one, I'm going to do the same thing here. It's an outer stroke like this, a medium stroke like this, and flip it and do the side stroke. Look at that. Cool, huh? Over here I have 2 pink tulips, so I'm going to do the same thing. Outer stroke, medium stroke, and the final stroke. This one I'm going to make a bud. So I'm going to do this and that, and then come this way and go up. Okay. Then I take my liner, the little shading green on it, and I'm just going to attach the base of these to the flower, like that. And this guy, because he's a bud, he's going to have more flowers up, more petals up this way. There we go. Now I'm going to do my yellow ones. And the way I do my yellow ones, same way, except I do a full load of egg and a little bit of pompadour. I know you guys, you're all thinking, doesn't she know those colors don't mix? They do. Pompadour for me does not burn out. Oops, so I did 1, 2, 3. Okay. And over here, I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. Now the yellows are not going to show up as well, and that's fine. You can fix them on the next fire. There. And you're going to take your green, and you're going to go and just kind of attach the base to the flower like that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now let's do the leaves. There are 2 ways you can do them. You can use this brush, or you can use this brush. I will do it both ways for you so you can see depending on what you have at home. With this brush, I do a full load of gray green with a side load of shading green. I start at the base and I just turn it as I go up like that. Didn't get quite as pointy as I would like it, so I'm going to take and maybe shape it a little more there. Okay. I think I had better luck with this one. And so I load it the same way. And I start the top and come down with this. You can start at the bottom and come up, but I like the top down myself. Now I've got a line here, I don't want that. There we go. And then I'll just take this and kind of shape it. Remember, these are background flowers. You don't need to do anything too spectacular. That's bottom to top. You can do anything you want. I think if I don't talk about it and I just do it, it works better for me. There we go. And this guy, and we'll cut him up and move him down. Okay. And a little more here. There. I use my filbert for the grass. So here's the grass brush. It's a filbert. It's a rounded brush. I'm going to dip it in my oil. I'm going to dip it in my moss, full load. And I'm just going to start. I'm holding it at the very edge, and I'm just going back and forth like this. See how that works? It works beautifully. Just gives you enough color to make it look like grass. Try to keep it a little bit flat because you don't want to have any buildup. Okay, this is my first fire, and I will take and fire that in my kiln. Amazingly, it comes out about the color it is now. I'm shocked because I've had that kind of luck with a couple plates that I've done now in a row. And next week we will put in the final things on it, and we will finish it off like this plate, which is my final plate. Pick up those brushes and keep painting. Bye-bye.